Yeah, it's a hot day. I'm hanging in the sunshine. You should hit me with the splash gun so I cool down. Won't you come on over? We can party till the sun's down. Baby, let me buy you a drink while we're dancing a blink. I could go for some Queen Bee too. Bass is going boom boom. If you're looking for some crazy, I'll tell you everybody's standing in a line for the water slide.
And so it begins. And I guess with the snow and cold weather here, that kind of puts an end to all the fun things that we do out here during the summertime. And today, I just wanted to kind of go through some of the different things that I have to do around here, getting everything ready for the winter months and when things start to really get cold around here. So stick around and show you all the different winterization things that I need to do, as well as I'm sure a lot of others have to do. So sit back, relax, stay warm, and let's go through these things. Every year, I make a list of all the things that I need to do before the deep freeze hits. Yeah, as you can see, it's already started snowing here, but I make a list. Some of these are already done, and I need to go through and check these off, but wanted to show you the list of the different things that when you live up north, like we do, and you get down to some pretty extremely cold temperatures, a lot of times that they're below freezing, 32 degrees Fahrenheit here, I need to make sure that these particular things get done so it doesn't destroy or break those particular items. And when I go back to start using these again in the springtime, they're all good to go and ready to be used. All of the porch furniture is removed, and the awnings that I have get the covers, the winter covers put on them. The porch furniture is basically just taken and put under cover under the front porch roof. Everything's kind of tucked away and put up for the winter winds and the winter weather. Try and keep it out of the snow. And all the wicker furniture we keep covered up. So a lot of it is just basically getting things stored and put away so it can last a little bit longer. My outside water lines, I've got 3 of them along the front pool side here, and that's what I use to keep the pool deck cleaned off. Those all have to be shut off inside the house. I've got a low point drain, and then I come in here, open all the valves, take a blower and blow in there to blow all the water out, blow it through the low point drain, and then I just keep the valves open so there's never a buildup of any kind of pressure in any of those lines. This is the little pool house that we have, and it used to be a kid's playhouse. It's one of those Amish built little sheds, and I basically have taken it, turned it into the pool house, and it has a sink back in here and a toilet. A couple things that I have to do in here is I have to pump this with antifreeze or glycol, and what I use is the RV antifreeze. And I learned the hard way the very first year. I poured the glycol in the back of the tank and in the tank itself, flushed it a couple times and figured, okay, that's good. But what I didn't realize is the fill line that goes from the wall spigot to the toilet still had water in it. It froze that, broke it. I had to replace that line. If you have an outside toilet, make sure that you put some antifreeze in through that line. And what I do is I've got an outdoor inlet spigot. I hook up a pump and pump glycol through the water lines in here, and I actually force it to go through that supply line on the toilet, and that's what keeps that from freezing. So that's one thing we do out here is for winterization. I have a water line that runs from the house underground all the way over to my far garage. And that's one of the things that I need to make sure gets winterized so I don't run into any burst lines underground or have troubles with that. I got to make sure that, again, this goes back to a low point drain inside the house in the basement there. And what I do is open this line up, open the line in the house, shut the supply off, and go to the low point drain. And then I just basically take an air gun, air hose, put it in here and blow it backwards until I get 99% of the water out through the low point drain in the house. And that winterizes that water line so it doesn't freeze. Moving on to the big gas powered pressure washer that I have. Again, I've got the quick disconnects. That is the garden hose inlet supply. And this is the supply for the hose reel. And a lot of times I just take and put an air gun inside of that, wrapped with a towel, blow the air in one and the other, and also make sure that it comes out through this line so I don't have extra water up here in the hose reel. So that's just another thing that you want to make sure you don't forget is winterizing your pressure washers, and that's as simple as just blowing the air out of it and maybe even starting it to pump any water that is in the housing here to keep that from cracking. And I know a lot of people will forget to do that and come out in the springtime when they want to start using it again to find a cracked manifold on the thing. So make sure you get your pressure washers winterized. Another item here that I need to make sure gets winterized, and that's my water pump. One thing that you got to make sure of is that you pull out the bottom drain plug on this thing and make sure all that water is emptied out of there, because if you don't, that expands and cracks the housing. So just some little things that you got to go through and make sure, again, in these northern climates, to keep things from freezing. As far as my tractor, and I use this tractor primarily all year long for mowing the grass, but then when winter comes around, I have to take and remove the mower deck off of it, and I will put a back blade on this, and I also have a hydraulic angle snow plow that goes on the front of it, and it works perfect for plowing out the driveway in the wintertime. It's got the cab, it's got heat. Again, like I said, I can use the back blade and the snow plow, and I a lot of times use those together. So whatever the front plow misses or leaves behind, then the back blade picks it up and distributes it off to the side as well. Going along with the tractor, I take off the 15-foot batwing mower deck system that I have that I use to mow the lawn, and I give it a really, really good cleaning with the pressure washer, and I use some different degreasers and solvents and so on to clean that up. And then what I do is I get a gallon of WD-40 that comes in a metal can. I put it into a pump sprayer, and I go through and I spray down the entire mower deck system to keep any areas on it from rusting as it sits here through the winter. I don't bother going through and repainting the bottoms of the deck just for wintertime, because it would be one of those things that would peel right back off, and it would be a maintenance nightmare. So I found what works really good is spraying WD-40 all over the bottom of the decks and on the top of the decks. And that generally will take care of any rust ever showing up. So tuck it in here underneath my little pavilion that's attached to the side of the garage, and that's where I keep the other equipment. So with the excavator, don't use it much at all in the wintertime. And I'll run a battery tender to it, make sure that that battery doesn't give me any problems in the springtime. And then with the track loader, I don't do a whole lot with it as far as winterization, because I've got a big snow bucket that I like to put on the front of this. And when I do plowing, I go through and I will pile snow up out here in the driveway. And after it gets so high or where it's in the way, and I usually put it on a far corner somewhere, but I do that so then I can take the machine here and bring all that snow back around and put it on the edge of the ravine up here, so when it thaws in the springtime, that melted water runs down into the woods and not down in through my grass or my yard where it used to. And then for months and months, the yard was always wet in the springtime. Moving on to the golf cart. Don't really run that in the wintertime very much. We do use it a lot around the property. One thing that need to make sure that we do with this is these batteries under here. And what I do is bring them to a complete full charge before I put it into winter storage. And then I'll go through and I'll remove all the terminals. So far, so good. They seem to make it through the winter without any problems. One other thing that you can never, ever forget is the winterization of the pool equipment. And we've got the filter, the pump, the water lines that go down in the ground to the pool system, back around through one of the valving systems. So everything in here, as well as the pool heater, all has to be winterized. You've got to pump air into each one. Plug gets pulled out of the side of the pump itself down here. And just those different things that you got to make sure that you do not forget, because you don't want those surprises coming in the springtime. The extreme cost of replacing things for making that dumb mistake of, oh, I just forgot. So that's why I make a list every year to make sure that I don't forget these things that will cost me big later on down the road. So in addition to water-related things and things that are outside that get stored for the winter, something else that I always feel or have felt is important to do, and this is my forced air gas-fired furnace that I have here in the garage. And it heats my garage where we store our vehicles, and also in my workshop. But one thing that I like to make sure I try and do every year is fire this up prior to the cold season, when it actually starts to run on its own. I like to make sure I go through, replace the air filter in the back side of it. And I also like to go through and double check all the burners, the igniter on it, and everything that could cause a problem with this system not working properly for me during the winter months. And one of the main reasons for that is I do have water lines out here in the garage that I keep all year long, keep water in all year long, that is. And if the garage were to ever freeze, then those water lines, and again, there's another water line here. If those water lines were to ever freeze, it would flood the garage and end up in the basement of the house. So that's the reason that I always try and make sure that the furnace kicks on. There won't be any problems with it coming into the winter months, and it's not an emergency the first day that it goes to ignite and doesn't work. So I don't want to be caught below freezing and find out that my furnace is not working. So it's a good thing to always go and pre-fire furnaces, inspect them, make sure your vents, any venting like this one here goes up through the roof, make sure all that functions properly, make sure that the safeties don't kick anything out because something's not correct. So again, just some pre-winter checks. And again, it goes back to that list of making sure that I don't make some kind of stupid mistake. Another thing that I really like to make sure I get done every year is I've got this little electric leaf blower. It's an Ego leaf blower. And I came across this thing. And what it is it's made by steel. And they call it a rain gutter cleaner. And what it is it's about 6 feet long of plastic pipe, real lightweight, and it comes with this elbow setup on here where you can turn it and rotate it or whatever. But I don't find that I need to really rotate it much. And what I do is it's not made for this electric leaf blower, but boy, does it work out really well. And what I do, and I got lucky here because, you know, it wasn't made for it, but it seems to work out well. So I take and I pull this nozzle off the end of my leaf blower, and I put this in through the front end of this. I found that the end of that fits over this tube. Put that on, and then this attachment that comes with the steel blower pipe is put that on there, and I can slide this back, and this bigger diameter actually seals up on the inside of that. Put that on there, slide this right back onto the blower, and then what I've got now is a pretty lightweight leaf blower that hooks up to my long extension blower, and I can walk around the entire house and blow out all my first floor gutters, never have to get up on a ladder, don't have to worry about falling off. And why I like doing that is at this time of year when all the leaves are off the trees, any leaves that might have got into gutter systems that I can't get up on the roof and do, I'll go through and blow this out. And where most people will end up with ice and water damage in the wintertime is their downspout has plugged from the leaves that get caught in it, and then that water builds up, it freezes over time, and then it starts building back up onto your shingles or your metal roof. But with this setup, I can go through and make sure all the gutters in the house are spotless and cleaned out, and I'm going to see if I can't give you a real quick demonstration on how this works. In addition to all the winterizing that you do around the house and everything that you need to get set up for the cold months, there's one thing I'm very glad that I have, and that is a whole house generator. And I guess all the winterizing you do doesn't mean anything if the electricity in your house quits. And I did a video back a while ago on this for the benefits of having a generator, a whole house generator versus a portable generator. But back to this, one thing that is just very comforting to know, that is if we lose power and it's below freezing here, that I know that this generator will kick on and keep the house warm and the electric on and the furnaces running, so I don't have issues ever with pipes freezing because of any electric failure or a power grid issue, anything like that. So this Generac generator here is a very important part to northern climates, in my opinion, and keeps the heat going. One of the last things on my list, and I've already got most of them taken care of, but are the driveway markers. And I like to go through and put those up because I plow my own driveway and take care of that. But as far as this driveway marker, you might be looking at it wondering, why is it like that? But as I explained in a video over on Adam's channel last year, by putting these driveway markers in, I get the longer ones and get them from Home Depot, and I put them in on an angle like you see here. So they're about 3.5 feet back off of the driveway, but that marker, the end of the marker there, is parallel with the edge of the driveway. And what that does is it allows me to plow right to the edge of the driveway, and the plow marker will bump the top of that ball on the end of the stick, and I put those foam balls on there so should you ever get a little sideways coming up the driveway in the snow, those don't scratch the edge of the car. But what this allows is the little bit of windrow or snow fall off of the plow, it allows it to go in there and not cut off the bottom of your marker. If you put it in straight up and down, you will clip that edge at some point in time with your plow and cut that marker right off. So I like to put those in on an angle so the plow marker will touch it, and then as I'm up in the tractor, I can visually see where that plow marker is coming close or touching the driveway marker, and I never shear off any of those fiberglass driveway markers. If you stand at the edge of the driveway, you can see that they are parallel down to the edge of the blacktop, So the driveway marker takes care of showing me where the edge is. All right, and that brings me back to my list. And I like to go through and check these things off after I've done them. And I think we've gone through and shown probably most of these things. There's still a handful of things on here that I do need to get done. I still want to change the wheels out for the little Honda Element there to put my winter tires on that. And a couple other minor things, but in all reality, should we have a freeze tonight and tomorrow or the next couple of days, everything of great importance has been taken care of. And like I said, I'll go through and check those off on there. And I like to keep that in the garage here where I walk by that list every day, and it's a constant reminder of what needs to be done. So I guess that brings me to the last thing, and that is make sure you start your winter beard early enough that it keeps the real cold off your face. Except for my wife, she stays inside. I'd rather she didn't grow her beard out. But all kidding aside, you might sit back and say, well, gee, why in the world would anybody want to live in the northern climates? And I guess I really enjoy the smell of spring. I love being able to go outside in the summertime, and fall is one of my favorite seasons. Winter is just one of those things that you kind of get through. It's very similar as if you were to live down south. And summer is one of those seasons that those people just have to get through because they don't go outside very much in the summertime either, with it being so hot. It wouldn't matter if I had a house down in Florida or somewhere in the deep south during the wintertime. I'd still have to do probably 90% of the winterization stuff that I'm doing now, because if I was to pack up and head down there for wintertime and become a snowbird, I'd still have to winterize everything. The only other option would be to sell the house and move. And I guess at this point in my life, winters do get to be a little more discouraging. But I guess I'm not interested in dealing with that heat all summer long. I kind of like my sweatshirts and insulated pants. I'm not a big fan of being uncomfortably hot all the time. So living in the northern climate, I kind of enjoy. I like crisp, cool mornings and doing things outside. So I guess if you like the video, and if I've given you any kind of help or thought as to how you would go about winterizing things and what people in the north have to do, drop a comment, give me a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you again soon. Thanks.